Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo, and we have a full house this morning. Joining my colleague Bandula Jayasekara and myself.
Good morning, Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Joining us is Mr. Rusripala Tenakun, a trade unionist and former chairman of the Bank of Ceylon. And we are also joined here by the one and only Maitri Gunaratna. We'll stick with the title of attorney at law, shall we? I was suggesting to say that we just member of the Cinnamon Brigade.
Member of Parliament.
Cinnamon Brigade, somebody said this morning. Now, gentlemen, shall we talk about VAT? 15%, the new rate of VAT. Do you realize, Mr. Rusripala and Maitri, that you're not paying VAT as until last month? There's no VAT on your mobile phone bill. You were paying 10% on a government levy on your calls, but if you break that down, your call charges attracts between international and local 27.55% is going to the government. Now there are other charges for data. It's a smaller amount, around 12% and so on. This government now proposes, and they will do from the 1st of May, they will bring your entire mobile or your communications bill within the VAT sphere, which means, in plain English, you're going to be paying 15% more on your mobile bills. That's an incredible amount of money, bearing in mind that you're already paying 27.55. What do you say? Are you being burdened by this? Are you going to make lesser calls? How are you going to cope? What are you going to do, Mr. Rusripala?
Yeah, I think it depends on how you look at this telephone thing, with the mobile phones, and if they are treated as luxuries, well, the government must be thinking, why shouldn't the people who are enjoying the luxuries pay and bear this up? Don't you think so?
Even today,
are you suggesting that mobile phones are a luxury?
I am not saying this, but it may be the concept under which these people are imposing such taxes.
It's a basic human right.
Well,
Faraz, today the coconut plucker uses a mobile phone.
Faraz, you have
a
forgotten they have even extended this VAT thing to even hospitals, private hospitals. The patients are worst affected.
A chap came to, a young fellow came to work as an office boy in our office some months ago. And the accountant chappie came running along to me and said, "Boss, guess what? That chap wants a password." I said, "For what?" He said he wants a password, an internet password, to log on to the office Wi-Fi. I was astounded until I suddenly realized that this is the way forward. Everybody is empowered. The digital divide is very, very small now. Everybody has access to information. You can't hide it anymore. But to tax and penalize further the people for being empowered, I think is astonishing.
Then for us, what's going to happen to the Google, Loon, the balloons, then all this Wi-Fi all over?
Exactly.
So they'll have to scrap it.
Well, they'll have to because people can't afford it.
People can't afford it.
The prices of coconuts has gone up. Everything's gone up.
When Wi-Fi is introduced, it is introduced for people to use. So when people are using these things, the government must benefit out of it. So that is exactly they have done some marketing to get the income from the government increased.
Now I'm a bit puzzled, and perhaps we can dissect this puzzle. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, our dear Prime Minister, lovely chap, he's announced that somebody leaked the information that to Reuters that after the 1st of May, the VAT will be brought in and applied to even to healthcare services and to mobile communications. Not to be outdone, he quickly made that announcement that yes, indeed, that's what's going to happen. Then we have a statement from His Excellency President Sirisena that he will not tolerate the people being burdened by taxes. Now then, Maitri, I find that a little advance notice of some sort of drift coming along.
Or is it a good cop, bad cop situation?
Yes, or is it?
I feel for us, His Excellency the President is the person who has got the mandate of the people.
Yeah.
The people of this country changed the previous regime on the basis that they had implicit faith on President Maithripala Sirisena.
Okay.
So he, having now all this time, I feel he was playing a passive role.
Yeah.
He let the Prime Minister do what he wants, run the economy, because, I mean, true to his word, he was appointed by, with the support of the UNP, and as a gentleman, he called upon the Prime Minister, he gave him his part of the bargain, he let him run the country, and now he finds that the Prime Minister and the government is imposing huge taxes on the people.
Exactly.
So I think it is the right time for the President to put his foot down and say no. Because it is the people of this country who changed the regime. It is the people of this country who gave him the power and made him the President. So it is his bounden duty to protect and see that the people are not unnecessarily taxed and burdened for us. Now, according to your calculation, 42% on the telephone bill.
Yeah.
42% as taxes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Where do we go to? Whom do we go to?
It will probably make Sri Lanka one of the most expensive places on earth to use a mobile telephone, or in fact any telephone.
Any telephone. No, any service which ultimately you are going to make use is going to be taxed heavily.
That's right.
Right? And just imagine the hospital services. If you go to a hospital,
That's
I
right.
mean, as it is, the government hospitals are,
They're already burdened.
burdened.
So now there are a group of people who rely, who can afford to use the private sector and pay their own way. Now, thus far, they've been insulated away from the VAT regime of the lower amount. I think it was 11 or 12%. Well, now they propose, or they will impose a VAT of 15% on medical services. It doesn't mean that the hospitals are going to subsidize it.
No way,
your bill.
no way.
It's you, the consumer, the voter, the people who elected these people in to power, who is going to pick the tab up.
Yes.
And so eventually there'll be some people who can't afford that additional 15%. When you take into context that it's 15% on your mobile bill, on your insurance, on the medical bill. So all these 15% add up,
Oh, definitely.
and your salary isn't going up.
Shaukat, that means the dear Prime Minister is telling you,
Yeah.
you can't get ill, you can't fall ill, you can't make calls.
Well, if you risk falling ill, you're going to have to pay 15% more. It is astonishing. But then this brings me in nicely with something else. Now we are, Mr. Risipali, you must be aware, the social media carried an interesting photograph of the Panamanian firm, Mossack Fonseca.
Yeah.
It said Mossack Fonseca because taxes are for the poor.
Yeah.
Now, we are waiting in Sri Lanka, we're waiting for the Mossack Fonseca Panama report to come out. We've had already in 2013 the offshore leaks. We've had the Swiss leaks. We've had the Global Financial Integrity Report on illegal or suspicious outflows from the country.
Yeah.
Now all this, the people in authority are waiting. But whilst they're waiting, if we cast our minds back to some events that happened in Sri Lanka in around 2012, a court case in Colombo revealed that a group of businessmen in Sri Lanka who run a web of companies very complex web of companies, but they're into everything. They're into manufacturing, they're into imports, exports, hospitality, you name it, they're in the business. One of the most remarkable conglomerates in the country. But in this court case, they confirm that they are holding $200 million in accounts in Gibraltar. And they were fighting amongst themselves about that money. But the fact is that they confirm that they have this money outside. Not a single government body, namely the Inland Revenue, the Exchange Controller, the Central Bank, all these agencies have failed miserably. Isn't there a law, Maitri, that we can sue these people for not delivering on their jobs? Surely they don't need me to go and complain about this, or Mr. Rusripala to do that. Isn't there a monitoring agency?
No, all the laws are in place. Only thing is they are not being implemented. Now, after this regime came into power, you know of the FCID, which they started to investigate this type of crime. Now, the golden question is, what have they been doing? I mean, on things like this, where these have surfaced. According to what you say, $200 million has gone out.
30 billion rupees.
30 billion rupees has gone out. Okay, what has the FCID done to investigate that?
Exactly.
So the government has all the wherewithal to conduct these investigations. But my personal opinion is, these investigations and all corruption allegations are being used to weaken political parties, strengthen some political parties, and they are all political games. No one is serious about bringing anyone to book.
Exactly.
No one is serious about bringing anyone to book. They are only interested in staying in power.
You see, now 30 billion is what this group of businessmen state under oath in a court in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. A simple exercise.
And in the court of law, in the Supreme Court of Gibraltar.
Yeah.
That they confirm they've got these funds there, these assets. Now, we are struggling, this government is struggling, dear Ravi K, the finance minister, is struggling to find money. Right? He's going off to the IMF and he's going off wherever. And they're sending him back with long lists of
taxes to add.
Yes, you must do this, that and the other. Right?
Far as the
but
politicians
they've got 30 billion.
Yeah.
The potential tax lost to this country is approximately $70 million.
Yes.
That will go a long way towards how much will we need to raise VAT so much if we had that money. And what about the Global Financial Index Integrity Report? They're talking of $19.2 billion, 2.88 trillion rupees. And to those who are not familiar with the trillion, that's 2,880 billion rupees. It's incredible. And the potential tax on that is $6 billion.
Yes. Politicians have done their part on this matter, if I can see.
Yeah.
They have made the law to sleep and put the thing on hibernation mode so that nobody will take any action. No FCID, like Maitri was talking about FCID. For the FCID to move or start moving, the mode should be changed from hibernation to active.
No,
this is not happening.
You know, you're familiar with, you've been a former chairman of the Bank of Ceylon and so on. Ranil Wickremesinghe shopped around the world for his governor of the central bank. That's a fact. Now, this is the governor who is supposed to be able to lead the financial industry in this country and oversee. But this is the same governor who was forced to listen to a rather junior reporter from our network and asked for the contact details of, I think it was the Global Financial Integrity people. It is astonishing that a person who's running the central bank of this country doesn't know, or apparently doesn't know, about this organization.
We are all expiating for the sins of somebody who has done a wrong choice.
Indeed.
Yeah, that wrong choice. A person who should have been an investment advisor is made the governor of the central bank.
That's right.
You
I
know,
mean, that is, if we are to discuss his qualifications.
This is where I think I'm referring to Maitri's reference about the president's views and his concept. You know, very recently, he very clearly said about the indigenous nature and our cultural related economic development thing. He was very clear. Now, I am wondering as to how one can put these things together, having an imported governor and having all exotic and foreign things in his mind, and what he sees, what he does, to be compatible with this thinking of the indigenous approach.
Yeah, but we have to blame the rulers. We don't care whether it's the president or the prime minister. They are ruling the people, so you can't. They have to accept the blame. They got elected, and then they have to.
Yeah,
they can't pass the buck.
But that's true. I am forced to rely on a headline, I think, that was used by the late Lasanta Wickrematunge, playing Pandu with the people's money. Isn't that what's happening here?
Very fitting.
But what can we do, though, Matthew? What can the people do?
Neither you are in a position of power. I'm sure, can't you influence? Speak to these people. You can do that.
Speak to the people about.
I mean, you're involved with the present government, right? So can't you all have a discussion?
No, I have personally met the president and spoken to His Excellency. I don't want to view his opinion here.
Yeah.
But it is not very. He is also not very happy with what is going on, I can say.
On that note, we'll take a short break and come right back. Do stay tuned to Newsline.
Newsfirst, Newsline. Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Welcome back to Newsline. Good morning again, and we are joined today by Rusripali Tenakun and Maitri Gunaratne. Maitri, so as May Day approaches, the day of the workers, what can the workers do apart from be bowed and afraid of what's going to hit them next?
The May Day for us, I mean, this is it has symbolized a day of fun and frolic basically.
Right.
But what is more dangerous in this May Day is you can see again the opposition being split. Right now, the former president and the joint opposition are apparently going to have a separate May Day. The SLFP, the main principal party, or the principal party of this country, is having a separate May Day. United National Party is having another May Day in Colombo. Now, this is a situation where, in a democracy like this, if the opposition or the force which can be the opposition is split and dissipated, that is going to affect democracy. So my personal opinion is the former president is being very carefully used by a few people for the purpose of dividing the SLFP and furthering their political existence. So as a result of that, what is going to happen in effect, my concern is about democracy, because we have put everything down the line, whatever we have had, to safeguard a democratic system. So and I think we have been successful even a little to bring about that safeguarding of democracy. So I can see again, by splitting the opposition, by having 2-3 May days, right? Again, this is going to happen because any government will be happy to have a weak and feeble opposition.
But I think, Maitri, they are taking the workers for a right, because we say May Day, workers of the world unite. They are taking the workers, ordinary people, for a right.
Workers have been taken for a right by every government.
Yeah, but
always.
that
will happen. You can't stop it.
This is just an opportunity. Another opportunity.
It's a fun and for the workers.
Exactly.
It is not like in the good old days where there has been a huge suppression of the workforce. Now there is the court system. There are the labor commissioners. They can go and view their grievances. So basically the workers, if they have a grievance, it can be addressed. Now, in the good old days, there was no way. Jackboot or the iron boot was there, and nothing could happen. But today, it has become a day where fellows come out, have a booze and generally dance for some music.
But also, you say the president is being used. He's not a kid to be used. He was the president of this country. How can you say that he's been used?
In the sense, he has a stature in this country. I mean, you cannot deny that.
Yes.
Right. So, he was very comfortable. Going and playing a senior citizen role when he handed over the power. But I suppose when there are people who are desperate and who have no political force behind them, they have seized the opportunity, gone and put it into his head, right? And they have brought forward the former president to spearhead this movement. Now, for instance, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, he was one person who never left the SLFP, who protected the SLFP from the very inception.
When Chandrika and Anura, they all left. Yeah, he stood by the party.
Mr. S.W.R.D. Bandaranaike's children all left the party.
He was one. Court,
they did everything. They did everything to destroy the party. He was one person who stood there. So my question is, having stood there, the SLFP is the party which made him the president for 10 years in this country, right? Having done all that, now today is it the time to split the SLFP? My contention is, Bandula, no one should be instrumental in splitting any political party, because all these political parties strengthen democracy in a country. We have experienced that. In the UNP was manipulated by Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, right? When we wanted to go and have various demonstrations, he intervened and he started tarring the road and closing the road in front of Sirikota. So the UNP was manipulated.
Now, are you with the UNP or the SLFP now?
I want to go into the UNP, but we have been sacked from the UNP. So
but you're not challenging that.
I challenged it, but I challenged because I was in the provincial council at that time.
Right.
But then once our term left, then the case we had to withdraw the case. But there is no challenge. No, it is the working committee decides that we don't need these fellows, we don't like their faces, out they go. So
can I ask you this? Because obviously you've been closer to that seat of power. Is Ranil Wickremesinghe truly and essentially a Democrat?
No way. He is the biggest dictator you can get. I have experienced it. We have experienced it, and I can point out many instances where he has shown his authority.
But he is keeping the party together.
Pardon?
He is keeping his party together, rightly or wrongly. He is doing that.
All dictators have done that.
Bandula, I mean, what I'm saying is, being 20 years in the opposition, this last election, he still couldn't get the 113 which he needed for the UNP to form government.
Look at this way, Maitri. Now, in other countries, you lose one election, they resign.
Yeah.
But you have to give credit to Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Yeah,
no, it's not easy to be the leader of opposition for so long.
No, correct.
He held on. So because maybe others were weak. Let's give him that credit.
He held on because the fact that you are the leader of the UNP itself is like the executive president in Sri Lanka. Has so much of power, right? You appoint the working committee, the working committee appoints you. So there is no chance for anyone else.
Maybe having coffee with former President Rajapaksa also helped.
That's what I said. The main reason was because they played ball. Right?
Both of them.
Both of them. And President Rajapaksa, I felt was very, very comfortable in having Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe as the leader of the opposition, because he knew that there was no threat.
I've got this is a regular viewer. Isn't all what Mahinda Rajapaksa wants is to keep the SLFP in the opposition for the next 10 years until Namal is of age? What other gain does the Rajapaksas have in a strong SLFP today?
That's a very good question. But for us, all political leaders think that they can pass it down to their siblings. It doesn't work for us. It doesn't work.
But if you read an article, it was written by Uwindu on the net. He said that the last act of Mrs. Bandanayake, Sirimavu Bandanayake, last political act was she voted for the UNP because her son was in UNP, and so she wanted to vote for her son. So that explains nepotism fully, I think.
Yeah, but the point is, for us now, we'll say Mrs. Bandanayake, she wanted to make Anuruddha the next Prime Minister. That never happened.
Yeah.
Right. So, I think J.R. Jayawardena, of course, his son didn't have any idea at all. But then again, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, when he was president, he if that march went on, if there was no defeat in 2015, then of course we would have gone to a dictatorship. And at that stage, he can decide, okay, my son is going to be the Prime Minister or the President thereafter. But luckily that was prevented.
And how lucky we are.
Luckily that was. And the other thing is, today, Bandula, people are asking, okay, what has President Maithripala Sirisena done?
That's what he has
done. That's what he has done.
Yeah, exactly.
They have forgotten. They have forgotten that, because it's not a thing you can touch and feel, right? But people of this country must remember, right, that he is the person who had the guts to come forward and face an election against the Rajapaksas and win that election and reverse the trend. So all of us, we are today we can voice our opinion, we can do whatever we want. It is because His Excellency President Maithripala Sirisena came forward and took the challenge.
And as the popular choice.
But the nepotism cannot continue.
No, it cannot.
So now see you.
But I want to also say that in that decision that President Sirisena made, a very brave decision, I'm sure that he was enamored and buoyed by the fact that one TV network decided to throw its lot in behind this good governance movement.
Oh, definitely.
Us.
Yeah, definitely.
Clearly.
And even during a turbulent time like that, it was, we as people who were opposing that regime, right, we had a lot of coverage given by your network. We are eternally thankful for that, because at that time, no one wanted to come forward. And
so that is actually the contribution that we must bear in mind when even in the midst of complaining that President Sirisena headed that change. But that is why we are also looking to him to resolve all these other issues. And one of the central to those issues is the mismanagement of the economy and the central bank's role, and why it is that they are not. I think the exchange controller, Mr. Exchange Controller, I think you should resign. You got $200 million outside the country, out of your reach, and you've done jack about it.
And the chairman of COPE for us.
And the chairman of COPE, Mr. Sunil Handanetti, he was here complaining about the bond issue. Now he's the chairman, and he's gone into hibernation. It's ridiculous. It's obvious that there is a political deal being done between Mr. Handanetti and his partners and the Prime Minister's party.
And as Maitri rightly said, the time is right for His Excellency to step in a much more aggressive manner to take control of the economic management of this country. The last IMF report very specifically refers to, I mean, it is a virtual indictment of the present government of financial management. I request you to at least induce the opposition people and those critics to compare the IMF reports of 2014 and 2015.
I think we'll do that, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Thank you, Mr. Risipala Tenakun, Mantri Kunratna, and Bandrajaya Sekre. Thank you for watching Newsline. Take care, have a great day, and God bless.
News